SmashPod. It's more of a mashup. SmashPod and Haibo does data. I am the one they call the good-looking host, Chris, and the brains of the operation. As you can tell, I can't even point the right way. Haibo is with me here tonight. How you doing, Haibo?
Not too bad, not too bad. It's Wednesday, excited going into week three. Trying to figure out my waivers for the week. Lots of injuries, lots of injuries.
Crazy week last week. I've been getting a ton of questions, even just on like Instagram and our messages from people about, what I do with Jaden. Do I do, is it JCM? Is it, McNichols who took over for him? So yeah, it should be a fun one. I think we got a couple of things to talk about tonight. Want to dive into data from last week and talk about what worked, what didn't. Give you guys some tips to do well in the future. I want to take a look at some of the pricing this week and just see like what stands out. Are they kind of cool opportunities you guys can try to expose? And then if you hold on to the very end, if you're doing the single player campaign, I'll just give you a little tip of the cap, a little hint at what we're doing this week to give you a little bit more of a chance to beat us in advance as you try to like prove you are the best of the best.
All right, sounds good.
So with that said, Ivo, should we dive in? Do you want to share the data and let's start talking through? I'll let you take us through the top plays of the week, and I've got a few comments as well.
Yeah. So for everyone listening, watching, if you go to the main Smash Up page, under Fantasy Resources, there's News and Analysis, and this is where we post our data summary every week. So you can see kind of the week one summary. We're going to take a look at week two last week, but just keep an eye out for that. In our weekly emails as well, you'll see, we'll kind of post the link as well. But this is a good place to just keep an eye on to take a look at the data summaries for yourself. So last
As we
week,
dive in, by the way, I just realized I got to make one comment before we go, which is we've just moved back to Chicago, and so you may see me on this podcast drinking out of a red Solo cup. This is water, by the way, so in case there's parents here, you're watching with your kids, we're good influences. That is not a adult beverage. This is water. I just do not have real cups yet. So, sorry. Continue. I didn't want to get in trouble.
you'll have to trust you'll have to trust what Chris says for that. All right. Well, I always like to start with kind of the top five players by position. So this is not scores, but most popular picks. So in terms of who were kind of the most popular players chosen, Chris, if you had a guess, who do you think was the number one most popular player last week?
Because God has a funny sense of humor, I'm gonna guess it's probably Derrick Henry.
It is Derrick Henry. It is Derrick Henry. Coming off a monster week one, I think everyone was like, oh, it's Derrick Henry, just set and forget. 2.3 points last week. Not what you were looking for. But he was the number one overall most popular pick player.
Yeah, funny
Um,
side story. I'm in a very traditional like guillotine league on Yahoo with some friends. 18 teams, one person goes each week. The guy who went this week had Derrick Henry and T. Higgins. Probably thought he was totally safe and just finished like 30 points below second to last. It wasn't even competitive come Monday night.
yeah, I mean, last or sorry, week one it was Jamar Chase, and Chase actually had a really good game. I mean, even with Burrow going down, he's still Browning still like what did he have? I think he still threw for two touchdowns, three interceptions, but two touchdowns.
Yeah, and Jamar had 165 yards and a touchdown. I've got a video going up on social media tomorrow because we were getting this question a lot. After watching this, though, have faith in him. I mean, Browning and Chase have now played 12 games together, averaged 66 yards and half a touchdown per game. Already okay, but it took them 2 or 3 games back in 2023 to get their footing. Since then, it's been closer to 75 yards, a little over half a touchdown. And, that and Chase is in the offense has gotten even better since. So I feel like Browning's good enough. Chase is just a stud. There's no need to panic.
Yep. What was really surprising to me was the third most popular player last week. Third overall. Generally when I do this, like the top 20, 25 most popular players are just littered with running back and wide receiver, right? There's just so many that tends to be where the concentration is. The third most popular player was Brandon Aubrey. Everybody picked Aubrey last week. And he had a huge week too, as well. 22 points. Um, yeah, good, people playing Smash Up. You guys are picking well. Brandon Aubrey. Um,
Someone whose only NFL dream would be to be a kicker, because the only position I wouldn't get murdered. I feel like I'm finally getting the respect that is well, me and Brandon Aubrey, but kind of in combination. I think it's 50-50 contribution.
the other one, Tucker Kraft, the fourth most popular tight end, ahead of Brock Bowers. Tight end generally you don't see. I mean, Bowers is not. He's the most expensive, but not by that much. I'm surprised how many people picked Kraft, and Kraft again also just had a really good game.
I
Um,
crafted a few leagues. I think he's still just undervalued on some of the DFS. I think that Green Bay spread the ball so much around last season that I don't think that the odds makers know exactly what to make of that offense yet. And it was one week. Kraft was good, but not great in week one. Phenomenal in week two. Well, we'll see what happens. But Kraft, I think, is a sneaky play still. Whereas Bowers was nursing an injury is questionable, so I think people probably were a bit nervous to pay a premium for someone who that they, is he going to not play on Monday night when I can't go get someone else? Is he going to be a decoy? So I think the players are savvy. I think they kind of read that.
mhm. Um, so I have a question for you. What do you think about our number three wide receiver here, Brian Thomas Jr.?
I obviously like him as a player. I've got him in a couple of leagues. He was great for me last season as well. He's banged up. He could legitimately be injured. I think the real question is if he is, does that kind of open the floodgates for Travis Hunter? Or does Cohen go more run heavy? And do we see sort of a two-headed monster with Coutinho and Bishal too? So uh, Jacksonville could be a team with some intrigue this week.
Hmm. I read that I think he had like a wrist injury, or some type of a sprained wrist injury last week. But supposedly he practiced full practice today. So we'll we'll see how he is for the week.
Yeah, they said
Um,
the wrist injury is lingering. And in Haibo, I don't know that much about football. Do you use your wrist much when playing football? Is it a major part of catching and doing stuff with the ball?
I mean, if you're a great wide receiver, you only need one. You only need one of your hands. So just whichever wrist is injured, get those highlight one-handed catches with your other hand.
Makes sense.
Make it work, right? Make it work. You'll figure it out. Um, all right. Well, let's move on to kind of the top 10 Smash cards. One thing I've noticed kind of the first 2 weeks is, and I guess this makes sense, this is mainly dominated by our 500, $1,000 card
Yeah.
Smash cards. I think a lot of people end up with a little bit of budget at the end of the day, and they're like, you know what, I'll throw Seabird's Confidence 2 weeks in a row. I imagine we'll continue seeing this as the most played Smash card all year. It's only $500. Play it on somebody you think's going to win, get 3 points. Um, pretty straightforward.
Yeah, a lot of the filling because I think because people have different strategies at the top, but then what you need is to go fill in with those 500,000, $1,500 cards, and so that's what you see a lot. Rising is the most played. I also thought it's kind of cool. A lot of these top pieces are also those Super Bowl cards from last year. So people have kind of gone right back to those, whether it's divided loyalties, extra credit, chess piece, golden arm, 12th man. Um, Wonderfully the best job I could do making Andy Reid, but I like that. I like it was sort of Infinity Gauntlet esque the golden arm. So
Oh,
we're gonna have
Golden
to get a
Arm.
segment of
Yeah.
the show eventually where we tee up video. Like a lot of these, there's an allusion to the NFL or something about the card. We'll have to like have a little video that we go through like one a week and talk about like where did this card come from?
Um, that number four, I mean, last year, Owen and I talked about this card almost every single week. If you listened last year, you know that I really dislike Run CMC. I think people way over predict how many times Run CMC hits, but it is popular. It was popular every week last week. No different this week, this year. Number four, but it rarely hits.
I
Rarely
mean, it
hits.
is some of the coolest card art in the game. Like, I think you probably want to play it because A, if it hits, you feel like a genius, and B, it's just who doesn't want to look at like the Golden Gate Bridge with the giant gold chain going across it?
It is a very cool card. Very cool card. All right, so let's take a look at the top played combos. And again, right? Hey, McCaffrey's healthy, so he is playing. That's good. And pairing, McCaffrey with Run CMC is our top most played combo, and it scored 0 because again, nobody ever hits with Run CMC. Um,
It hits, it hits. But yeah, I think the other thing is we pulled down the price of Run CMC last year because it doesn't hit that often, and so it makes it a really enticing gamble. It's about a step above a fill-in card. It's not quite
mhm,
like your $1,500 card, but I think now it's like 2,500. So if you played a couple others, it is kind of intriguing because if you do hit, it's 30 points, and
that's
most of
right.
the other 30-point cards, Hail Mary, Mr. Relevant, you know, Unstoppable Freight Train, Speed Demon, they're all closer to like 4,000.
Yeah. Yep. They're all exactly 4,000. So yes, you are right. It is cheaper, but in my opinion, it's an illusion. Uh, um, for it. But I mean, you can see some of the popular, like Derrick Henry, right, was the most picked player, and you see he is in 4 of the most picked combos. Seabird's confidence, the Ravens did win, so that was a pretty,
Hey, you got more points from that card than you did from Derrick Henry. So that
yeah.
was a clever play to make up for apparently a bad start.
Starting RB, 1.5x only got you 1.1 points on Derrick Henry. Um, but again, this is kind of the weird thing, right? Like fantasy wise, I think he just had a terrible week, but real life NFL, I mean, you can see the impact he has and like the attention, he draws from the defense, right?
Absolutely.
Like the Ravens, it was they blew him out, didn't they? I think.
Yeah, and I just got to know you're so high. You've got this. This is where we're reading a lot from what's published. On my second monitor, I've got the full screen, and in the top, 21 combos are Derrick Henry and starting running back, unstoppable freight train, bruising bell cow, all bark, all bite, all pro running back, and 12th man. So somewhere there's a few people this week who played Derrick Henry and stacked 4 of those 6 cards on him. I know it happened. And I just want to say, for those people, if you're watching, we feel so bad. We're going to refund everything you paid for your entry fee. So no questions asked. Write us in. Your entire entry fee back to you.
Yep. Yep. Multiple times your entry fee.
Yeah, 100 times your entry fee, right back in your pocket. For any federal regulators watching, that is $0. So please don't bust down the door of Haibo's wonderful house and scares kids.
Yeah, so those are kind of the main things that we saw last week. Anything else you wanna mention, or should we try setting a lineup for this week?
Um, no, I think we've gone through everything, right?
Yeah. All
Well,
right.
yeah, let's take a look at the lineups this week and see what looks like some good bets. What looks like some good options.
All right, so all the games are open. So if you're watching and listening, weekly's open. Go set your lineups for Fantasy Frenzy. If you're playing our campaign, go and set your lineup against the bosses. If you're not playing campaign, you should be. So it's only week 3. You still have 16 weeks to beat the 8 playoff teams from last season. So go sign up there. And if you're in any of the leagues, make sure that you set your lineups for the leagues. So let's take a look at Fantasy Frenzy, and maybe we can set a lineup together. Um, what have you got? Where should we start?
Two, maybe we can do two. Let's show people a good and a weird strategy. Let's maybe start with the good, which is one of the things I noticed this week when I was looking at some lineups earlier. It's not a bad week for home field advantage. So home field advantage is a good one. But let's go through the players first. Let's maybe start with quarterbacks. And actually, maybe
Okay.
before we even set the lineup, let's just look at like the pricing and who's out there. I mean, Josh Allen against Miami, he's expensive, but teams have just been destroying Miami. Like they
Hmm.
have, but they did not get a single stop against the Colts, and then it was another two quarters. I don't know why I'm blanking on who they played last week, but another two quarters before they finally got a stop, as in a punt, a turnover on downs, anything that wasn't like the other team just scoring. So I've got to believe that the Bills are going to have a big game. And the only question is it, Josh Allen or James Cook? So they look good as we scroll down here. And let me glance on my screen too. Haibo, are there any like values that stand out to you?
I mean, I would say, and again, these are probably not like super like you would expect teams to win against them, but like I see Kansas City against the Giants. I mean, I Mahomes, I think progressively has been kind of dropping, I think, on people's radars.
Yeah,
They're 0-2. They still have, that's a championship pedigree team. They start 0-2. They're going up against the Giants. They have an opportunity to, get right against them. I think Mahomes has a big game. And then the Packers, I think the Packers are just, they are, I'm an Eagles fan, so obviously I think, the Eagles certainly are a Super Bowl contender. I think the Packers are right up there. They were surprising, I think, how they came out of the gate. And then
yeah.
playing the Browns, I mean, I think, you know, at 6,300, so, it's not super cheap, but you're saving $1,000 against Josh Allen. I think Love against the Browns could have also just a massive game.
I totally agree. They've looked like, week one was easy to dismiss. It's week one. It's kind of week one of the NFL we always talk, but it's kind of like preseason still. Half the
Hmm.
teams are no, forget half. Like now 90% really don't even play their starters in the preseason, more than maybe like a handful of drives together. So week one can be sloppy, but week two they were extremely impressive. I was gonna say, Loves, let me kind of give you like deep sleeper here. I've got to say, pretty cheap, and just call this a gut instinct. Uh, I may get crucified here, but being in Chicago, I'm a Niners fan, but Caleb Williams, the Ben Johnson offense is going to start clicking. Swift was better last week. Williams was a bit better, and they're going against the Dallas offense that has just gotten torched twice now. I mean, I don't think the Giants and Russell Wilson are that good. Kudos to them, good game. They're maybe better than they looked in week one, but that Dallas defense lost Micah Parsons. It is just not the same as it's been in the past.
Hmm.
This feels like the kind of spot where this could be a get right game. Sunday afternoon, nothing gimmicky. Ben Johnson's third game as coach. Hopefully Caleb getting used to some of the new targets he had. I mean, he lost Keenan Allen, who was big from last year, but had a great connection with Rome. Luther Burn in his third game. Colston Loveston in his third game. We might start to
Wow.
see that offense start to
Wow.
turn the corner
Yeah.
against a really bad defense.
So I'm going to give you my deep pick for the week. Someone we
Okay.
already talked about, actually. Uh, Jake Browning.
Yeah.
Jake
See that.
Browning plus goldfish memory or what's the projectile dysfunction. Last year, if you remember, one of our MVPs was, Jameis Winston, right? Like he's gonna
Hands
put
down
up
my MVP.
points, MV, I mean, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, right? You get like 20, 25 points just normally, and you get another 20, 30 points off the turnover cards. Um, I think there's a chance here that Jake Browning, like you have Chase, you have Higgins, um, he's gonna he's gonna throw touchdowns, he's gonna put up some yards, but also I think he's gonna make some mistakes, and this could be an opportunity where you're playing some of those, um, you know, the goldfish memory, the projectile dysfunction, those cards on him as a potential, yeah, as kind of a good potential play.
Makes sense. All right, let's see if we can move along a little bit quicker here. Let's go to running back. Let's come back with the one lineup at the end, but let's go to running back. I'm going to quickly give you my one expensive play and my one, value play, and then Haibo, you can do the same. Uh, Expensive play. This week just has Bijan written all over it. He's looked phenomenal so far this season, and going up against Carolina, another team has just not been able to stop anybody. So I love him if you want to spend some money on a running back. On the other hand, if you want to get a little bit cheaper and save some cash, I'm going to scroll a bit further down here. And, Nick Chubb really started to come alive last week. Now, full year removed from surgery, 2 years, or sorry, 2 games in where he's looked better. And again, Jacksonville, Cohen's got the offense starting to click a bit, but the defense isn't there yet. So it may not be this entire season. So, Houston was definitely not afraid to use him. He came on the passing game as well. So Nick Chubb going for $5,200 could be a cheaper play at running back.
So my cheaper play is three right above him. Jordan Mason, 5,400.
Go on.
Aaron Jones is out. I mean, Jordan Mason already, I think, was doing pretty well. He was already getting touches, getting, good scores. Now with Aaron Jones out, he's the main guy. I think at 5,400, that is a steal for essentially a true RB1, um, for uh, for for the Vikings. Um, and for my expensive play, I gotta be a homer here. Last year, I think Saquon average. What did Saquon average? Like 200 yards rushing per game, average. I think they played the Rams three
That was
times.
per quarter. It seemed like that, or at least in the fourth quarter. The fourth quarter of every game, he was going for he'd break 260 yarders, and he was insane.
Yeah, it was nuts. For whatever reason, the Rams just could not stop Barkley. I think he had multiple 200-yard games against them last year. And, maybe it's not 200, but I think he goes for 100, 150. And the Eagles, rely on that run game again against the Rams.
All right. Well, then moving to receiver, it's funny because I'm kind of going to do the inverse of I'm going to have a couple to go with our complement players. You've already said I'm just using the teams differently. So for wide receiver, Justin Jefferson for the expensive one, yeah, Cincy, same thing. You can still throw all over them. Um, obviously the danger here, backup quarterback. With that said, I think that he will get his. I think that going against the Cincy defense, I like it, and particularly as we're kind of putting together maybe a home field advantage stack. He, he's one of the top receivers at home. A lot of the other guys are on the road. And then if I'm going cheaper, um, cheaper at home, because I did allude to home field advantage, might just be Keenan Allen. He's looking really good with Herbert. That connection from 2 years ago has been there. But for my real cheaper pick, I'm going to go. It's 4,800, actually a little more expensive than Allen. Romeo Dobbs, again, someone besides Kraft and Green Bay's got to get some love. With Jaden Reed out now for a few months, Dobbs is going to start seeing extra targets, and I think he's the most talented wide receiver that Green Bay has. The way Jordan Love is playing, really good value pick. What do
Nice.
you got? How about-
So I'll be honest, I have had just terrible wide receiver picks this year.
So
Most
pick two, and everyone else do the opposite of what Haibo says here.
Well, what I was gonna say is like who I wouldn't pick, and again, me saying this means that they're gonna go off. Um, the inverse of picking Barkley, I would not take any like AJ Brown and Devonta Smith. The Eagles pass catchers just are not. I mean, the Eagles are not they're not a passing dominant team. That's not what they do. And AJ Brown in particular, like, if you were playing kind of a traditional drafting league and you took, I mean, AJ Brown was going what round, second round, third round, maybe.
Yeah,
Um, you're probably not super happy with yourself right now.
I have
Um,
in one league. It just seemed as auction. It seemed like he was going a little too cheap, and I'm starting to sweat over here.
Yeah. So I'd say, yeah, AJ Brown, Devonta Smith, they're hard to trust in terms of if you're going to spend the money, I think there are other options there.
All right. So then tight end, um, at the high end, to be honest, I really don't like anybody at I mean, look, we could keep pounding the chart over the Packers and say Tucker Kraft. Cleveland has obviously a good matchup. Most of these aren't particularly great matchups. We're starting to get away from the high end at the point we get to Zach Ertz, and again, backup quarterback. So it might be a really good week for a value play. And for value, I'm coming down pretty far. Uh, where was there? I know I had this one picked out earlier. Um, yeah, I guess here, I'm gonna stick with Buffalo. If this is a Josh Allen throwing game, Dalton Kincaid, pretty cheap, 4K can get a lot for you. Um, or hidden gem if there's a lot of checkdowns. So even cheaper if you go with the Cleveland. Harold Fannin Jr., 2 really good weeks in a row, has been catching a lot of passes regardless of the quarterback, whether it's Joe Flacco or Gabriel. And so for $3,600, it could be a really cheap play that lets you spend money elsewhere on someone like a Josh Allen.
I like Fannin Jr. Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I think Cleveland's got something there. So that's a pick. That's, yeah, I would probably go with the same thing there.
Really thought the Niners were going to draft him this year. I put more time than I normally do in the NFL draft and was really thinking that Fannin had a Shanahan pick written all over him. So I'm a little sad. But Cleveland bought just things, so maybe they'll trade us Fannin like a fifth round pick next year.
I've also been surprised. I mean, Zach Ertz is what, like
Always.
37, 38 at this point. Um, he has had like a really good first 2 weeks. For not being kind of that first tier, he's been really, really good. And obviously, Jaden's out, so we'll kind of see how that impacts it. But honestly, outside of your first, your top two, really, outside of McBride and Bowers, most of the tight ends are right around that 4,000 mark.
Yeah.
So lots of good options there.
All right, so let's set a lineup, and we can talk about kicker and defense a little bit when we get there. But I think the meat of what people are going to care about is those position players. So let's see if we can do something where we use home field advantage as a basis. And
All right.
I think we have to set the players before we can set. Oh, never mind.
Oh no,
I lied.
let's throw it up there. All right. So who do we got? Who do we
Let's
have?
go nuts. Let's start off with Josh Allen, man. If we're gonna go with home field and we're gonna go a little cheaper later, let's start with the best here.
All right. Josh Allen. Um, who do we have at running back?
Um, Again, this is probably one where we go a little more expensive. It's a prestige position. Let's see if we can get this done. I think earlier when I was mocking something up, they had both CMC and Henry.
Yeah, it's CMC and Henry.
Let me see.
Okay.
Let me see. That's for our budget. We may have to
Well,
split this a little bit
let's
later.
uh let's go Barkley and Henry.
All right, fine. We can go for your we can go for your Eagle if it makes you feel better.
Let's go Barkley and Henry. Um, all right. So I mean
Jet.
that's burning a lot. That's burning a
Yeah,
lot
I think
now.
I think I may have done this in one of the ones where I didn't play a quarterback.
Well, Well, I mean, let's
All
see.
right,
So, I mean, tight end is going to pull. Let's go to tight end and let's take one of the cheaper ones. Who's at home?
Fannon's at home. Let's take Fannin at
Okay.
36. We both like
Take
him.
it. Yep.
Let's go to
And
kicker and defense too. They'll kind of tell us our average we have left.
mhm.
Go to the bottom. Let's find a cheap kicker. I really don't respect kickers that much, despite the Aubrey talk earlier. Who's like the minimal guy here? Who's at
Uh,
home?
well, at 2,500, you can get some decent.
Yeah, I
Uh,
like Pinero. If we're gonna go with your Eagle, let's
okay.
go with my Niner here. Pinero had a nice week last week, and with
Okay.
Mac Jones, he can stay slightly better Arizona defense. I still think we'll move the ball, but we might find ourselves kicking a few more field goals.
All right. And then defense wise,
We can go with your Kansas City here.
well, no, they're at New York, so they're
Oh,
on
that's
the
right. That's right.
road. Hmm.
Um,
Um, what do we feel like is a pretty safe? I mean, it is well, it is the most expensive, but Buffalo. So here's the thing: if you take Buffalo, you can also do like pairing that with home field advantage. You could also do defense wins championships, and just like if we feel like Buffalo is going to beat Miami, which I think almost everybody feels like that will be the case.
yeah.
This feels like a safe play.
Let's stop for now. We can come back. I would say if we needed, we could do something like the Chargers against Denver. The Chargers defense has been unstoppable as well, but let's see if we can make the Buffalo D work.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So that puts us at about 5,800, which is not bad. So wide receiver wise, you know, we can go for the top line, but to your point, most of the top receivers are on the road, other than Jefferson. If we take Jefferson, we're gonna have to make some other edits.
Let's do that for now. Let's start with the Jet, and that'll be our last prestige pick. Then let's go with some of our value plays.
All right. So if we take Jefferson, then what are some of the value plays down here? Tet Tet's been Tet's been doing pretty well. Though
We got to
he's
go lower than 49 first, though. We got to go
yeah,
further
that's
down.
true. That's true. We got to go
I think Keenan
Travis
Allen is
Hunter.
pretty.
So Keenan Allen, Travis Hunter, Diggs. I mean, there's some decent names here. So you want to go Keenan Allen?
Yeah, he's had that connection uh, with with Herbert. You know, they've played together for years, and so he's stepped right back in. A lot of people thought Trey Harris might be the number two this year. Harris has been struggling to get a target. So
Mm-hmm. All right. So now let's take a look at our flex. How much do we have? 52. So that puts us right around here. So we have
Chubb's not at home.
not at home. So at home we got Judy. I don't love Judy, even though I have him on quite a few teams. Um, like, let's see. Cup. Um, Travis Hunter's at home. We talked briefly about Travis Hunter. Um,
Still kind of want him to show me a week. One I saw, so we can maybe add some money to person. Go down a little bit further here. You're gonna see where's my Kayshawn Booty. He's been the number one receiver for Drake May. The Pittsburgh defense has been a bit disappointing. Um, Kayshawn had a great week one. Week two, he only had one target, one catch, but he was still the number one Patriot and routes run and pass plays or in snap share. So he's there. I think that last week that's what it was. New England played Miami. They just passed all over him. There was no
mhm.
need for someone to get open. Everybody was open. I think this week Drake May goes back to a safety blanket. I think Booty could have a pretty big game. And now we can scroll back up, and there's a place we skimped. Um,
No, not really. We have $600 left, but this feels pretty solid.
yeah, I like this team.
All
And maybe we could
right.
even, if we have 500 left, we use a little money ball cap ball just to start with some free points. But let's see.
Yeah.
I picked home for the Vanish card. Which one do you want to use, Haibo?
I mean, I think if we just double down on this, I think we go defense wins championships.
Let's do it.
That's but it's almost a guaranteed 15 points. I would be shocked if Buffalo lost.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm with you.
so let's take the 15 points and, kind of go from there.
What do we have left for our quarterback then? If we want to go all in on the Bills, is there a good can we get Golden Arm or
So we get tush push. Interestingly enough, speaking of the tush push, Buffalo is one of the few other teams that consistently runs the tush push, though they are noticeably not as successful as the Eagles, but they do run it quite a bit. So
let's do it. I can see Allen running one in easily. Let's do tush push. And let's go for broke here. Let's do a
yeah.
little bold.
All right. So I love the little peach icon for that.
No idea why it's a peach. I think it's a random piece of art that someone decided to use. I have no
Yes.
clue what that's supposed to represent.
Yep. So we will see. We'll see. Next week when we come back, we'll see how we did in Fantasy Frenzy. But yeah, this is our lineup.
All right. Well, last but not least, you want to give a little bit of a tip of the cap, a little bit of a strategy for the people that are playing either the Lambs or the people who first made it through to the Lions. Maybe give us a little hint of who you played and who you played a smash card on. Make our listeners a little smarter.
So I will say that so you're going to be playing a pretty realistic lineup, like a team against both the Jungle Kings, the Lions, and the Lambs, the Rams.
Well, that's right. That's right. I gotta get I'm starting to call them by the NFL names, which they're not. They're not NFL teams. They're just vaguely similar to all the 2024 top 8
Yes.
players.
The Lambs, I have 7. So 7 players. Seven of the Rams are on my team. They play Philadelphia this week, so again, could be a good, if they lose, then my team is already at a huge disadvantage. Same with the Lions. I have 8 Lions in my lineup. So basically my entire lineup is all Lions, basically, plus one other guy. And I am very much betting on the Lions winning. So I have 8 Lions in my lineup, and defense wins championships on the Lions defense. They are playing the Ravens, so it's going to be a good game. It's the Monday night game. It's going to be a really good game, and if you're going to play the Lions, you're going to play the Lions. So 8 of them in the lineup. You can probably guess who they are. It's not probably not too hard to guess who my 8 Lions are. And then defense wins championships on the defense.
Well, I'll just tell you, I've got 6 Texans in my Lone Star lineup this week. Big thing though is just if you're playing me, watch out for CJ Stroud. Pray for him to have a bad game. He's loaded up with a few different cards on him. So take that information, hedge, do whatever you want to use that to your advantage if you're watching the pod, and let that be your little boost of help.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Well, listen, everyone, thank you for listening. We'll be back next week. More data, more tips, helping you win your matchups. And until then, good luck this week. And yeah, may the odds be ever in your favor.
All right.
Maybe I'm just hungry. That's Hunger Games. All right.
Yeah.
Thanks all. Have a good one.
All right. Bye.